And I'm back again with another update on Project Electrolyte. I'm happy to report that the car is back on the road. Last episode, I had the motor removed, I had burned up the inverter and blown a fuse, and I was scratching my head a little bit as to what happened. But I'm happy to report that it is back on the road. Doing some shakedown driving, just making sure everything's solid to make this a daily drivable road car. Enjoy it like a muscle car should be enjoyed. And I'll be heading out to SEMA at the end of the month. It's the first week in November. I'm in the track booth. Good friend of mine who has the tire rotation assistance cart. Really cool tool. He won Best New Tool a couple years ago, and he's in the top 15 of the Launchpad this year. So come check us out if you happen to go to SEMA. And then mid-November, I'm joining Holly for the High Voltage Experience. This is at Sonoma Raceway in Sonoma, California. Holly's first EV event. They are really leading the charge into the aftermarket for EVs, and I used their SmartWire product, which made everything I did with my battery pack possible. So really looking forward to seeing what's going on with Holly. So this car is, like I said, it's daily drivable now. I just charge it up and then hit the road. I don't charge to 100%. I'm only charging to about 85%, just because I don't need the range. But at that level, I can easily plan on a 200-mile day. I like to look around, try to find free charging stations, because if I'm going to go somewhere, I might as well plug in while I'm sitting there and get some free juice. I got out with a good buddy of mine and his Chevelle. This is a 408 Stroker LS that he just had tuned. Really cool car that's coming along nicely. He's put a ton of work into this car. It was fun to get out there and cruise with him. So here's what happened last time. This is the Pyro Fuse. This fuse blew, and there was speculation two different ways this could blow, or a few maybe. A dead short, but I didn't have any of those. Could have been a bad fuse, or perhaps the inverter blew and took it out. But you can see some of the smoke here inside the inverter can, and it was just some of the chips had burned on the side of the motor, and you can see that smoke carried through. That green card you see on top, that was the aftermarket control board that I had been using. It was one that you have to tune yourself. Really not a lot of guidance. I spent about 40 hours tuning it, but when it let go, that could have been the problem. Could have been the tune that caused the problem. But anyway, I just pulled it out of the car last time. This is all the wires hanging down, brake calipers. I can get the motor out in less than 2 hours. It's really not too bad. I've got 4 mounting bolts for the main subframe, my push rods, and then the whole rear end drops out of the car. So as far as doing these kind of repairs, it's really not too bad. Now, finding parts, on the other hand, is a little tougher, but Matt over at Stealth EV saved my bacon once again. He found a new inverter for me. So this is the old inverter, and it's held on kind of unique. There's these 6 bolts that hold the bus bars on, so that's the positive and negative bus bars, and you can see it goes 3 ways for the 3-phase inverter. So it's splitting up that positive and negative to each of the 3 phases. Then you pull off that cover plate. You can see the 2 connections for each phase here, and you can see down inside this triangle of the 3 phases, and there's some mounting bolts down in the base. So if you look down in, there's I think there was about 15 of these little bolts that I removed. Not the 2 on the corners, but all the ones on the interior. And what this is bolting it down to a coolant channel. So here's a look at the inverter side. There's in and out for the coolant on all 3 phases, and that's just part of the whole motor and inverter cooling system. So on the other side, where it mounts to the motor, there's some O-rings that seal it. These are where the output comes out of the 3-phase inverter into the motor, and you can access these mounting points externally from the motor. There's a cover. So here we've got the 2 inverters side by side. The one on the left was the original, the one that burned, and here's the one on the right. The one on the right's about a year newer as far as the dates that are stamped on it, and there were some minor differences. It had these some kind of magnetic filters on it. This one also has a factory Tesla control board, so you can see that green card there. That's a motherboard off of the Tesla, just the way it came. So I'll be controlling this in a different way than before. So I had to build a new wire harness. All of the motor wiring had to be changed, with the exception of, I believe, 2 wires. But now that I've got some experience with these kind of harnesses, it only took me a day or so, and got everything labeled and wrapped. And here's the black box. So that's the EV controls controller. All the inputs for forward, neutral, reverse go into this box, and then it communicates with the Tesla drive unit. The pedal goes directly to the drive unit, and this also has CAN bus communications. So now that this is all wired up, I had to get it flashed. It took a few steps. The software is iPad based, really nicely done. Look these guys up, EV Controls, if you want to do a Tesla swap. He talked me through opening up the case, and here I'm flashing it hardline with the USB, otherwise everything is Bluetooth. Once I got this updated, everything seemed to be working, except for the wheels wouldn't turn one direction. They were kind of turning back and forth. It turned out this encoder plug, 2 of the wires were swapped. The A and B encoder were different from the other control boards. So everything's squared away now. Back driving the car. I would daily drive this car if I had a commute. Here I just took the family out for dinner, and it's great. It is way smoother than before. The tune is perfect. The power is crisp and powerful. Couldn't be happier. So now I'm back to some other details. This is the antenna hole, but I don't have an antenna because I use a Bluetooth stereo now, so I made a run light. This is an NHRA requirement for next year, to have a red light if your EV is energized. And now I'm enjoying the car out at Cars and Coffee, getting it out, talking to people, answering questions and bouncing ideas off of people. I've got the interior fully done, and just having a blast with it. So I'll be doing a YouTube show with that racing channel here pretty soon. We'll see what happens up at SEMA, and then out in Sonoma I might even get some track time and see what it'll do. It's definitely got some power. I've got the trunk kind of finished out now. I just wanted to show the suspension, and I left the wiring exposed too. It's kind of tucked back there, but if you want to look in and see what's going on, I figured it's kind of fun to see. And yeah, the car just drives terrific. The suspension, I've got the shocks adjusted pretty well, so it's got a nice ride, yet it's firm, stays flat in the corners. And I thought all this weight, might kind of upset the car, but I think it's kind of like when you load down a truck. It just feels super stable. So I couldn't be happier with the way it handles. So if you see me out and about, don't hesitate to stop and talk, or hit me up for a ride maybe. It's a pretty fun car. Thanks for following along. I'll have some more action videos coming soon. Thanks.